Hey everybody. Today we're going to do a pretty long video. We're going to go into some depth and we're going to talk about the beginnings of a video game series that's been around for a really long time, actually since 1994. If you love racing games, you've probably played some of the Need for Speed games. I mean, these are very well known games. They've been on pretty much every platform in some form or another. And it all started back with the 3DO. The 3DO version was the very first version, released in 94, ported to PC in 95, and then later it was released as a special edition for the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. Those versions are a little bit different than the original, but we're going to look at all three of these, the original versions of Need for Speed. We're not going to look at the PC version. That version's not as easy for me to to really discuss here. We're pretty much just going to stick with these console versions of the first game. And I'm going to be covering more Need for Speed games in the future, doing more videos about this because I really do love this franchise. So Need for Speed back in 1994, I can remember when this thing was first revealed, when the 3DO was a big deal. Well, it was trying to be a big deal. The 3DO never really took off because it was just so expensive. But the graphics were very, very impressive for games like this. This was actually the game that was showed off whenever like CNN would do like they would do like a video segment talking about the future of video games. They would show, I can remember specifically them showing this game in segments like that, because it was impressive. You know, fully texture mapped racing games like this with polygons and everything were not the normal, especially on a home console. That was just, this was the first of that sort of thing happening. The Atari Jaguar, it struggled to do texture mapping. It could do texture mapping, but yeah, it was a struggle to get a decent frame rate, and it was limited with memory because it was a cartridge-based system. The 32X could do texture mapping as well, but again, same problem. Limits with the memory capability and limits with the technology. So there's very few games on those platforms that have texture mapping. The 16-bit consoles, I mean, what little bit of 3D polygonal stuff they could do was not texture mapped. They struggled with any of that kind of stuff. But on the 3DO, things were different. The 3DO is actually a pretty powerful console. It's more impressive than you might think. I've got the FZ10 model 3DO. It's a top loader. It looks very similar to like a Turbo Duo. It looks similar to those types of consoles. I actually have it sitting right next to my Duo, and it looks really nice that way. The 3DO, this particular version of the 3DO actually loads games really fast, and I think it's a very reliable model. But most people have the FC1, which is that front loader with the automated tray, and unfortunately those kind of things break down a lot. So yeah, I different strokes for different folks. I'm pretty happy with this particular model. The controller I have is not the original controller. It's this Gold Star controller, but it's got a pretty sizable D-pad, and it actually works really well. All the buttons and everything still function great, so it's actually a pretty nice piece of hardware. That's how I'll be playing the 3DO version of Need for Speed in this video. I just wanted to show you a little bit about that. But we'll take a look at these. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty long video. We're going to just take a look at all the features that we can. We're going to play a little bit of some of these tracks and examine what's good and what's bad about the first version of Need for Speed that came out for consoles. And of course, like I said, we're going to start with the 3DO. So let's get started here. All right, here we go. Firing up the old 3DO. Let's Close the disk drive and let's get started. .3DO puts out a interlaced signal. So unless you have like a very specific Japanese model where you can put out a 240p signal. So this is going to look probably a little blurry. And also you might notice some scan line issues, but it's just the nature of the beast. It looks a lot better on a CRT, obviously, but just wanted to kind of explain that. Okay. I'll turn the volume up just a little so you can hear some of this. Very 90s stuff there. I mean, there's a lot of really cool cars in this game. It obviously shows its age, but yeah, there's a lot to take a look at here. So let's do that. Oh, and it is in surround sound. It's Dolby Pro Logic. So if you're playing this on YouTube through your surround sound, you might actually be able to hear that. Even though, so YouTube like basically can only do stereo,
looking for something real to sink your teeth
but
into?
Pro Logic is encoded into
Pull your
stereo.
butt off the couch and prepare yourself for the outer regions of outrageous.
This guy that you see right there, sorry, I was sort of talking over him. He's got some really cheesy like dialogue and stuff. Like not really dialogue, but like voiceover stuff that he does. It's pretty funny. Okay, now this is an interesting way to do a menu right here, because it's kind of confusing. You have to figure out what the buttons do. It took me a little bit to kind of figure that out. But this is where you select your track, and there's where you select your car. And that's how you start the game. And over here is some settings. We'll go into that first. So yeah, you can do manual or auto shifting. Here's where you can set your audio. Component video. We're gonna leave that. We'll leave that on. We'll leave everything on. This game's actually only one player, but you can race against an AI. There's your buttons. All right, we'll take a look at the tracks. To select the different tracks, you need to use the shoulder buttons. City, Alpine, and Coastal. You know, only three. There's only 3 tracks in this game. We'll start with the city track.
From the tranquility of suburbia to the pandemonium of...
And if you're not sure if you actually did select it or not, you can tell by the image. It actually changes the image there. It's a little confusing. So we've got the Ferrari Testarossa. Let's see what else we can select here. And
a mid-engine Grand Tour, the
game will actually let you watch.
Massive feeling than the Diablo. The chassis tends to understeer.
It'll actually let you watch little videos, and it's also doing a voiceover, which I'm talking over. Sorry.
The gated shifter, long part of Ferrari's lore, doesn't like to be rushed.
All right, it's pretty cool. Here's the video for this. You know, full motion video like this was not common. In fact, you wouldn't really see this quality of full motion video until the PlayStation. The Sega Saturn could do full motion video, but it kind of struggled a little bit. For some reason, a lot of Saturn games didn't have that good of full motion video. The Sega CD was pretty limited. The Turbo Duo was pretty limited on FMV stuff, but
A mid-engine Grand Tour, the 512
this is pretty
car is
impressive.
lighter and less massive feeling than the Diablo. The chassis tends to understeer slightly, will power oversteer, but doesn't feel especially comfortable doing so. The gated shifter, long part of Ferrari's lore,
All right,
doesn't
let's
like
look at
to be
another
rushed.
car. There's actually several cars. There's the Viper. We're not going to watch all the videos for all
The
these.
Viper's a monstrous V10 engine with a car built around it. It has
I think there was a Japanese specific version of this game released that had like all Nissan cars.
all-wheel drive helps put the
Never
VT's
came out in America.
492 brake horsepower to the ground. Up to 15% of the power is put through to the front wheels when the rears break traction. There's slight understeer through low-speed turns, but the rear drive character of the car is fully preserved, as aggressive use of the throttle can still bring the tail out.
All right, we're going to select that one. Okay, so you can see it changed the car and it changed the track. You can watch a video of this guy. I don't even know who
You
this
got
guy
two
is.
options. You can take this baby out and run her up against the clock. Or for the initiated, I suggest a little challenge. A little one-on-one, a little mano-a-mano. Come on, you know what to do. Let's go.
It's like he's doing an impression of Chandler from Friends. I don't know. I don't know who that is. All right, let's play some of this. All right. Now, there's several different views. There's the cockpit view, this chase view, and then a little bit further back. For some reason, the controls actually are way better if you're in the cockpit view. I think it's more impressive to look at from the outside, but when you're playing, you can actually do a lot better in this view. The race won't start until I go into first gear, which I use the shoulder buttons to do. I'll show you the difference. You see if you can see any difference in frame rate depending on the view. It's about the same. Pretty good frame rate. It's not too bad. There's my fuzz buster. Oh, that was not good. Uh-oh. Go. No analog control here. Oh boy. That's not good. Well, I didn't win that one. That sucked. You can't wipe out twice in a race and win.
Race tip number 1. If you're squealing through the corners, you're losing time. Remember, the fastest line through a corner is the quiet one.
Dang it. Too big a hurry. Okay, we'll continue. If I understand this correctly, there's like 3 sections per stage, and there's 3 stages. So this would be section 2, the first stage. We'll switch views here to see how I do. What I find interesting about the 3DO controller, and it doesn't matter what 3DO you have, the controller is very similar for all of them. What I find interesting is that Electronic Arts is very well known for their support for the Sega Genesis. And the controller for the 3DO is sort of reminiscent of the Sega Genesis 3-button controller. But also, they obviously borrowed some ideas from the Super Nintendo controller, which is why you have the L and R shoulder buttons. But you also get, strangely enough, a headphone jack on your controller. And it has volume control and everything, and that's not something you saw back in those days. Pretty convenient option for playing games if you just want to put your headphones in and not bother anybody. 3DO had some pretty forward-thinking ideas. There's only one controller port on the 3DO. If you want to play games that are 2-player or more than 2-player, you actually plug the additional controllers into the first controller. Like you daisy chain them. Like the player 2 plugs into the player 1 controller, player 3 plugs into the player 2 controller, and so forth. It's pretty crazy. I seem to be doing okay. One thing I'll say is this game seems a little slow. Even compared to the PlayStation and Saturn versions. But I mean, this was this was 1994, and pushing these kind of polygons with texture maps and everything was difficult. And also, racing games for home consoles were not as advanced as they became later. Oh boy. Alright, that was a nice spin. It does seem a little faster if you put it in the cockpit mode like this.
Oh man, you gotta love the suspense. This race feels close, my friend.
This guy.
Oh, I gotcha. I had your number all the way, but nice driving. It's in the curves, man, the curves. That's where all the finesse, all the skill come together.
There's actually quite a few video clips with this guy. It's not just the same ones every time. It actually varies. Maybe it's only 2 sections per track. Okay. Let's check out a different one. Press start to select the track that you want, because if you press the A, B, or C button, it doesn't actually select it. Let's try a different car. Let's do the Porsche. Porsche. All right. All right, here we go. We'll check out our car while we're driving. Porsche versus a Ferrari. Oh boy. I like these graphics. I think most people that have evaluated the different versions of this would probably tell you that the PlayStation or the Saturn version are a little bit better. The frame rate's better and things like that. But obviously this was the first one out. This was even before the PC version. So it still holds up pretty well, I think. Pretty good draw distance. down the road. Whoa, got some air on that. Oh, crap. No. Right there at the end, I screwed up. Damn it. That sucks.
Nice drive. Couple nice moves. But most of it in the oncoming lane. Heish!
All right. So obviously this is not as developed as some of the later Need for Speed games. Some of the staples of Need for Speed is the shortcuts that you can find and things like that. Not really something that's in this game at all. This is more just like a straightforward drive down a particular, like a section of track, a road that you're driving on. So yeah, it's a little slower, a little simpler, and that might be something that you're looking for, actually. You might not be looking for a bunch of other stuff. So I still had fun playing this. Quite a bit of fun. Porsche's a little slower though. Nice bridge. I like the sound effects. One of the things that I had read about this version, this first Need for Speed, was how much work they had done trying to mimic certain sound effects and things like the shifting of gears and things like that for different models of car. Obviously, that's something that Microsoft has carried forward, working with the Forza series and Sony with the Gran Turismo series. Yeah, it's definitely easier to control in this view right here. There's the end if we can just get to it. All right. That'll work.
Oh, man and steel, becoming one. Yeah, you waxed my ass. Congratulations. Full throttle, red lining, muffler burning, turbocharging, paint peeling, blistering son of a gun. Welcome to the Wall of Fame. First to the finish and to the victor the spoils. It's all under the hood, man. And you took it over the line, baby. Way ahead. Way, way, way ahead.
This guy. So yeah, you can do, you have a highlight reel you can do. I mean, there's a bunch of good stuff here, if you're so inclined to do so. Okay, we'll do one last one here. Check out the last coastal tracks. We'll change up our car too. Not real big fan of how that Porsche handled. I think we're going to have to do the Corvette. Okay. Let's give it a roll. Here we go. Corvette time. I used to play a game on PC back in the day called Vet. Very simplistic polygons. It was still pretty fun. I mean, that was like in the late 80s. Who doesn't like a Vet? Nice buildings on the sides, palm trees. It's pretty good detail. And like I said, the frame rate is not bad. Obviously, it's going to get better once we move on to the Saturn and the PlayStation versions. But it's not terrible, especially, you know, like I said, this came out before it came out for the PC. And to get this game running and looking like this on a PC back in those days would have been a struggle. So this is actually not bad at all. Oh boy. Yeah, there we go. There we go. If you're gonna wipe out, let's really wipe out.
Man and steel, becoming one. Yeah, you waxed my ass. Congratulations.
By the way, the 3DO does have internal memory to save games, just not a whole lot. All right, here we go. That was not good. Oh, come on. We got hot air balloons on the side there. Why are all these slow people in the left lane? Sheesh. Where's this cop at? Damn it, go. Oh, there he is. See him in the rear view mirror. Come on, get out of my way. Corvette turns pretty sharp. I like that. There we go. That's nice looking. I like that. Like I said, there's good rendering distance. You can see pretty far down the road. Makes some nice scenery for when you come across like some cliffs and bends like this up here. It's pretty cool. think of Ridge Racer. And here's the end right up here. All right.
Man and steel, becoming one. Yeah, you waxed my ass. Congratulations.
I have seen that one a few times now, but there are several other little videos they'll play.
Full throttle, red lining, muffler burning, turbocharging, paint peeling, blistering son of a gun. Welcome to the Wall of Fame. First to the finish and to the victor the spoils. It's all under the hood, man. And you took it over the line, baby. Way ahead. Way, way, way ahead.
All right. So there's quite a bit to offer in this 3DO version, the very first version, but it just gets better from here because the Saturn version and the PlayStation version are even better. And I was going to go ahead and get to those in this video, but I think what we'll do is just do a video for each version. And I'll put these out one after another. Because, yeah, we're already pretty much at an hour here just taking a look at the first Need for Speed, the first version of it on the 3DO. Next up, we will look at the Sega Saturn version, and then we'll look at the PlayStation one. Now, I imagine those videos probably be a little bit shorter than this one, because there was a lot to go over. Well, maybe they won't. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But let's finish out this video with just some footage of this replay. I'll shut up and let it go, and then we'll wrap it up. we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. Coming up next, look for the Sega Saturn Need for Speed, and we'll then look at the PlayStation one. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully this is somewhat entertaining. I find it fascinating just because I'm a huge fan of this series, but that's it for now. Guys, take care. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything like that, and I will talk to you later.